Hello, people of the internet. How are you on this amazing Friday night? Tonight is the Corporate Gamer podcast. I am your host, Corporate Gamer, and tonight we will be streaming a brand new podcast. I know last week or last time I did a podcast, it wasn't game related, but I wanted to do something a little bit different. So tonight we are doing something much different. We are going back to games. How is that? Yeah, so I have a bit I have a show planned for you guys. I wanted to go through a few things, a few topics I wanted to go through. Um, it's been a while since I started doing this, and I apologize since I haven't really done a lot of podcasts since restarted my podcast late last year. I kind of started in October and November, and then December kind of died because I usually take December off because of family and stuff like that, and it's the end of the year. Usually, it's a retrospective on the rest of the year. That's usually how I function. And I was supposed to start back in January, but because of circumstances, I couldn't actually do that. So that's it. I'm back here again today, and I want to um, talk games. I've actually missed it. I know that I do talk games ever so often when I'm playing games, but that's a little bit different. You can't really get into a big discussion while you're playing. It's kind of distracting. So I wanted to take this time to actually talk about a few points. I know there's a few things that I might talk today that I've actually spoken on previous podcasts, but or podcasts or broadcasts, either way, when I do stream. But I think that today, but I think it would be a little bit better to go into a little bit more detail and have a little bit more fleshed out thoughts. Sometimes when I'm playing, I kind of have two thoughts, and I am a guy, so I kind of get confused easily. That's a joke. My wife would agree to that. Um, so tonight we will probably be talking. So I haven't been in the gaming talking about games for a while, but I want to talk about more stuff that I care about. Like stuff with GameStop and stuff. I really don't care. I honestly don't. If they go belly up or not, whatever. These are things that I find interesting and that I'd like to talk about. So that's where we're going to go, and that's what we're going to talk about. So the first thing we're going to talk about, as you see on the screen right now, is the new PS5 controller. I wanted to talk about a little bit more because it's something that's actually pretty unique in a sense that um, in a sense that you know it kind of surprised me a little bit. They've had the same type of controller for a while, and when they did the reveal, I was like, "What?" So we're gonna go through a little bit of that, my thoughts as well on that. Doom Eternal. I did actually finish and play Doom Eternal, and I actually really enjoyed it. I think it was a very strong title. It actually merits the Doom name. Um, but I wanted to go into a little bit more detail in terms of what I thought about it, what were my impressions about it, and last but not least, this is something that I've been looking forward to. This is Streets of Rage 4 on any platform, really. I think it's getting released on I know for PS4 and Xbox. Um, I think Switch as well. Good, good question. I actually don't know. Streets of Rage 4. Uh, and it will be released on Microsoft Windows, Nintendo Switch, PS4, and Xbox One, and it'll be released on April 30th, 2020. So that's it. We're gonna go into my YouTube channel of the week first, and then we're gonna go into a discussion of video game remakes and remaster. Ever since we got Resident Evil 2 remastered, and 3, and now potentially 4. Everybody seems to be on the remaster bandwagon. We have Crisis that's going to be remastered or redone or remodeled. I don't remember specifically, but it seems that we're rehashing old games. And I wanted to get into a little bit more detail in terms of that. And we're going to go into, and this has been, it's a discussion that happens I've discussed this before, but it's a discussion that we've had um, every console generation, like console versus PC. Which one is better? Which one's mightier? And especially lately with the cheating with Warzone, and how the Activision is going to be dealing with them. Um, it's a little bit it's weird how that is working. But I wanted to actually go into like the crossplay and how that would affect gameplay and which one is actually mightier. And maybe they're not. Maybe they have both have pros and they both have cons, and it's basically your preference. That's entirely up to you. But that's it. That's what we're going to be talking to today. So let's get cracking. All right, so the first thing on my list is my YouTube channel of the week, and I've recommended a few channels in the past. LGR, for example, which is I always go to. This one is a similar idea. It's kind he's older than LGR, that's for sure. He's been around for a lot longer, but um, his channel is a little bit more is a little bit different. Whereas LGR kind of sticks to the 90s in a sense for a lot of his hardware stuff. And it's basically when he grew up, right? 8-bit guy goes all over the place. 70s and 80s, obscure stuff that you can probably find, some people might not even know about. Like, and he likes to restore a lot of stuff. So he likes to restore Commodores and old Tandys and so on and so forth. And he likes to go into details of those technologies and how the memory works and so on. And I think it's really, really worth it because he's very informative. He maybe not as charismatic as maybe LGR. He is really, really interesting though. Actually, one of his interesting bits was telephone freaking, which is really interesting. And the fact that he got 1 million views for this particular, because normally he gets about 300 to 500 or 600K views, and this one got 1 million. And you can see like he goes through a bunch of different things, like unboxing certain things old. And he also released a game, Planet X3. And I think he has Planet X2 and Planet X, I believe. And he actually created it, and it's available on older systems, which is really, really cool. I actually wanted to buy one, and I just didn't have a chance. Not because I could actually play it. I just wanted to support him. He kind of did this and he also has the soundtrack as well, which is really, really cool. And he comes out with about a video a week or two, every 2 weeks or so. You can see that it takes a lot of time to do what he needs to do to make a video really well. But he also has another channel, 8-bit music or 8-bit keys, I think, which is music oriented. But this is the one that's more popular from him. I truly recommend you guys watching him and his videos. Very informative. If you like LGR, there's a good chance you're gonna like him. LGR is a little bit. LGR has that charismatic. I don't know, just something about LGR that just you look at his videos and you're like, ooh, and you want to continue watching. This guy, it's just pure history and is really, really worth it. And I think you guys would really like it if you like it. And he does a lot of restoration. He cleans up a lot of these old tech. Personally, I don't know where the hell he keeps all this. And he has over 1.11 million subscribers, which is actually pretty impressive. I have to admit. And he's had quite a few. He does once in a while. He does do not even gaming reviews. It's just to show you like what games that he likes or whatever. And he goes into details like how vintage games controller worked. Really cool guy, really fun. He also does speeches at certain game conventions, and retro tech conventions. Ever so often, obviously this year everything has been canceled, but yeah, that's another topic I might have to talk about E3 and what its relevance is to everyone. Um, but having said that, I strongly recommend you guys look at his videos. Let's look at his trailer. Cats. So that was 8-bit guy's trailer. Hope that you guys like him. Give him a follow if you guys do like his content. I personally think it's really really cool. It's really engaging and it gives you a history lesson, right? Not everyone, especially like for me, I was born in 1980, but I didn't really know anything before or even in the 80s. Like I mean, the first real gaming PC I had was a Tandy 2000. I think it was an SX. And my first console that I had was a ColecoVision. But I mean, I was too young to actually understand what that meant. But I mean, even for me, I didn't know everything at that point. And this is really cool. Like, he'll bring out some things that got released around those times. Similar how LGR does that with the in late 80s, early 90s. This guy does it with the 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, which is really cool. So look up for that. All right, so let's go to the news part of the day. Um, I haven't really spoken about this since I haven't done a podcast in a while, but the new the new PS5 controller got revealed. We still don't know how the actual PlayStation 5 will be looking, but when I saw this for the first time, I seriously thought that I was being trolled. Um, because in history, if you look at the history of the controller for um, the PlayStation, it stayed relatively the same. I mean, it hasn't. It's been improved upon, but it's been pretty much the same. And the same reason why I stick with Xbox, and let's not look at the Duke controller, which was a massive mistake. But the 360 controller and the Xbox One controller, which are basically the same, I personally love the hold and feel of them. Right, it's really cool. The way that it holds. For me, it's perfect. At least for my hands, it's perfect. And I always got used to the staggered uh, thumbsticks, and I don't really use the D-pad really unless the game requires me to, like for inventory or whatever. And I always got used to this. However, similarly, PlayStation controllers or players love their PlayStation controller, and a lot of people still love them to this day. And I've actually had discussions with people at work and friends that they prefer it just because they like the form factor and they like how it holds in their hands. Their preference. It's not wrong or right. It's just their preference. When looking at the new controller, there's massive similarities with the Xbox controller. The only main difference between this one and what PlayStation revealed is that the thumbstick is still parallel, it's not staggered, and the D-pad is where the thumbstick is on the Xbox. Um, the middle part, whatever, it's the start menu, whatever, but and that's it. But the actual form factor of it, I don't really care about the functionalities of both of these. I mean, sharing screenshots directly from your or creating clips directly from your. I don't really care. I stream on Twitch anyways, so I do clips that way. I don't really need to do that directly from my Xbox. I don't know if this is something that like players actually like. For me, I really don't give a crap. Really, I'm just happy it has buttons. Does it work? Does it hold well in my hands? Is it actually responsive? Yes, great. I'm happy with it. So so from the functionality perspective, like DualSense, whatever it this one was be it'll be I think the PlayStation 5 is going to react differently. It's not going to be like a DualShock. It's going to be like the responsiveness is going to be dynamic and so on. Okay, whatever. I really don't care. Um, but at the end of the day, they've dramatically changed their controller from a form factor perspective to really mimic the Xbox controller. And I think somebody had put one over the other and they actually look exactly the same. The only difference is these things here are the D-pad and the thumbstick are inverse. That's it. Um, I don't know how PlayStation 5 players would react to this. I know a lot of players are um, not really. There was a lot of backlash from the PlayStation community. At least from what I saw, at least on Reddit or whatever, people were not happy. Um, I don't know. I think as a PlayStation, as an Xbox guy, I may actually like the controller. However, the main reason that I didn't like the PlayStation controller, and to give perspective, the PlayStation 1, the original PlayStation, I liked the controller. At that time, that was the best controller that was out there. It was better than the GameCube. It was better than the N64 that I knew. It was the way that it was built. It was great, and I got used to the parallel thumbsticks. But now with the different, I don't know. There's just I guess it's memory reflex. I just got used to this layout. And ever since the 360, I've been a big fan. Even my PC controller is an Xbox 360 controller. It's my old 360 controller because I just love the way that it feels in my hands. And I got used to the staggered thumbsticks, and I just love it. So from that perspective, yeah, I don't know how it's gonna go with. So far, PlayStation has been iffy to say the least about the PlayStation 5. Um, the approach, you have two massively different approaches from two different companies, right? So you have the Phil Spencer Xbox side, which has been in your face. Here's the box, here's the controller, here are the specs, break it down, here are the games, have fun, and blah. PlayStation has been a little bit more on the iffy side. Now, there's been argument about which console is going to be more powerful. Let's be honest. They're both going to be just as fucking powerful. I mean, the best example that I could find and that I heard was actually from Ryan McCaffrey on I think Unlocked, where podcast Unlocked, where he said that let's say the Xbox is a V8, the PlayStation is a V6 Turbo. At the end of the day, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to get to the same point, which is valid. So from a power perspective, really, they're going to be pretty much the same. Like every generation that came before it, the more powerful console does not mean it's going to be the most successful console. Look at the Wii, and look at even the Switch for that matter. I mean, I think if the Switch would have got released at the same time as the PS4 and the Xbox One, it would have kicked both those consoles butt, like massive butt. And I really enjoy my Switch. But what's the reason for that? I enjoy the games that are on those consoles, on that console. So you're gonna gravitate to the console that has the better games. On no, in the generation 360, although the PlayStation 3 kind of tied or surpassed the Xbox 360. For all intents and purposes, the 360 won that generation. It had better games for the most part, and the third party games played better. This generation, flat out, Xbox One lost. It's the PS4 that kind of surpassed it. But what's the reason for that? It's because there were fuck ups by Microsoft. But at the end of the day, though, it's it's where the games are and who had the first party games. It was PlayStation. Xbox didn't really have much. Crackdown 3 was a massive flop. Sea of Thieves, I played it. It was I didn't keep my attention for too long, to be honest. Um, what else? There were a few games. There were Cuphead that was like on the Xbox One only. It was an exclusive. Then I went to the Switch, um, and I don't think it's ever gonna get released on the PlayStation. Um, yeah, there wasn't a ton. There was Gears 5, I guess. I haven't played it, so I don't know, but everybody seemed to have liked it. But in general, though, the big names, the big first party games, at least before this year, it was all PlayStation. Spider Man, God of War, um, The Last of Us, Uncharted. You can name them. There was a ton of them, and kudos to them. They were really cool. Xbox, I think, learned from their flubs last gen. They had a really rough start. They shot themselves in the foot, essentially. I don't think that they had the wrong idea necessarily for some stuff. I think they were just ahead of their time, and gamers didn't want to hear it. Like an online only console. I mean, it is what it is. You can do that with the Xbox now. I mean, you can leave it on, and it's always on. Um, I mean, and everything is going super digital now. So, right, I think at the time, uh, I think what really shot them in the foot at the time was the fact that they were saying you couldn't trade it. Sorry, you couldn't trade in your games. I think that was it. They didn't. I think that was the main sticking point, and everybody made fun of them. It was really rough, and the fact that the price was very high because I think they banked in on the Connect. I think they wanted to do that was kind of their reaction to the PlayStation Move slash VR, and it just didn't work. Nobody wanted the Connect. It had some decent functionality, but in general, nobody wanted to freaking that, play with that. So the the console was the console was almost $100 more. Spec wise, I think the PlayStation 4 base model was more powerful than the Xbox One. Um, so Sony kind of went guns a blazing, and I think this generation now history will hindsight's 2020. We'll see how it pans out after the launch goes in like or a year or two after the launch. But PlayStation seems to be playing the there's something happening. PlayStation is very um, they're the type of company that they always want to be number one, regardless. They're gonna try and be number one, no matter what the cost is, in a sense. Um, and I find that either they were really not prepared for Microsoft being as aggressive as they are, Um, I think I don't know what happened internally. There are rumors going around and of what's happening, but something is definitely happening. You know, they did this reveal of their logo, and everybody went gaga. Okay, fine, because it was probably the most powerful console this generation. Everybody's anticipating the new console, right? Which, by the way, that was the shittiest reveal of all time. The PlayStation 5, which is the same font. Even the Xbox One, Series X logo is kind of like eh. But anyways, obviously the Xbox logo is not going to make that many waves. But they made all that waves. Ooh, and then Xbox went to what was there was a an award show, Game Awards, and they revealed the actual Xbox One, the Xbox Series X, and I don't know if PlayStation was prepared for that, and they've been in terms of revealing the console. I'm not saying that they're playing catch up in terms of technology or whatever, but in terms of the revealing, they've been always a step back of Microsoft this generation. Um, and it took how many months in order for us to get a controller, and everybody went gaga over the controller. For against whatever. There was massive discussion on Twitter, Reddit, you name it. Either people liked it, some people didn't. I don't know. Um, and I don't know. There's just something we still haven't seen the design. This is the game console that technically was supposed to be released in November. We don't even have. We have the specs, okay, but we don't have the look and feel of the console. We just don't have it. Um, I have a feeling the console will look similar to the controller. So either it's going to be a white model with black or a black model with some white. Okay. The mocks that we've seen were, for a lack of a better term, horrible. Um, and something I never understood about the PS4, why can't it play Blu ray? The Xbox does. It's their own product. Like, I just don't understand how that can be an oversight. I don't even know right now if you can play Blu ray on the PlayStation 4. I don't even know. I know you could do it on the Xbox, that's for sure. But just to say, like, it's something that's not, you know. So they've been lagging behind in terms of reveal, and the fact that they revealed this and it kind of looks like an Xbox controller, honestly, um, it's weird. But I mean, it is what it is. Like, see here, you have the old controllers versus the new controller, and I don't know. This to me, like the differences are very subtle. Like this is the same. This is the same. Yeah, the colors are mapped differently, but it's the same. The bumpers are the same. It's just that because these edges are straighter on the original one. These one are more round. So it makes it look a lot more like the Xbox controller than it does the PlayStation controller. But at the end of the day, it should be the same thing. I mean, it should come down to the same thing. It's just a perception that people have, right? So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how people. No, it's called the Dual Sense, not the Dual Shock. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how it works. Hopefully, they'll be able to. Um, let me do something first. Sorry for that. Poops. That just went black, didn't it? Poops. Oh, there we go. Yay. All right. So here. So yeah, you know, that's the new DualSense. We'll see how that works out. Just weird that they're like, hey, here's a new controller. Looks like our competitors. Um, at least for me. Uh, at least this. The only thing I have to say about the PlayStation, I have to admit, like at least here they're differentiating themselves. They always have from the Xbox and Switch. The problem with the Switch is the letters are the same; they're just placed differently. The Y is here. The X is at the bottom, I think. This is A and B. Like it's flipped over, and it always screws me over. So when I play the Switch and I go to the Xbox or vice versa, I always get confused. Anyways, we'll see how this goes. I'm hoping to get to see some new something physical, like an actual demo of a look and feel of PlayStation PlayStation console, and I'm actually interested to see who does releases the price first. Um, Xbox has been pretty aggressive so far, and I think they're trying their best to make a dent or penetration in a lot of markets that they normally don't, like Japan and China. They're not very popular. PlayStation is very, very popular there, and in North America, it's PlayStation. I mean, they outsold Xbox. I think it's 3-1. I think at this point, which is not nothing to sneeze at. I think PlayStation was at 120 million sold, 130 million sold units sold. That's pretty impressive. Anyways, so that's my take on the Dual Sense controller for the PS5. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below or in the chat if you guys are watching. All right, next on the list is Doom Eternal. Yeah, so a couple of weeks ago, I finished Doom Eternal. Wow, what a spectacularly amazing game. I also like 2016. I just don't remember. I liked it. I just don't remember liking it as much. And don't get me wrong, there are elements of Doom Eternal that I'm not fully on board. However, by the way, this is the review I did on roundtable.ca, in case you guys haven't noticed. Um, um, all right, so let's go into the game itself. It continues. It continues where Doom 2016 was. So basically, Doom 2016. And by the way, the name of it is Doom, but the problem is we have to say Doom 2016 because the original Doom was called Doom, and to not get confused, we have to say Doom 2016. So, Doom 2016. Um, it was on Mars. It was a lot. It felt a lot more from remembering having played it. It felt a lot more linear in a sense that you go into an area, boom, 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 and then you get to a boss, and you hit the boss, and you're done. And the bosses were progressively more difficult. Um, Here, it felt like the level design was a little bit more fleshed out. It felt a little bit less of a I'm confined in an area and let me shoot everything in it with everything I have. It felt more calculating and it felt more strategy. You felt like you had to have a little bit more strategy. You had to manage your ammo a lot better, even on the simple, the lowest level that you can be. Um, it's First of all, the look and feel of this game is absolutely phenomenal. When we played the original Doom, I think this is what we were looking for when we were playing it. It the feel that it gives you, it's really cool. And by the way, there are going to be some spoilers, but to be honest, it's it, it's a game that has like even if you spoil the whole thing, there's actually no reason to um, not play it. Like it doesn't ruin your enjoyment of the game at all. It's not like you're playing Mass Effect or Fallout and you want to know where the story leads. It like the story takes a back burner really. For me, the Doom is like an 80s movie. I've said this numerous times on my streams. Doom is like an 80s movie that um, an 80s movie that has like the action and everything, and then the story takes the back burner. It connects the dots, but it's not really important. I will say that the story is slightly more engaging this time around. Um, it's a little bit more. You see, there's a lot more. They try to give a little bit more lore than the first one. The first one, they gave very little information. It's basically, okay, you're on Mars, you have to kill everything, have fun, and then at the end, you're done. Um, Here, there's a lot of things you can read. There's a lot of lore that you can read, um, and it kind of gave it that a little bit less of that linear thought process, which is really cool. Like it doesn't make it makes it feel a little bit less linear, which is cool. And to be honest, like when we play Doom, we know what we're trying to get into. That's why Doom 3 wasn't super fun. Doom 3 was more of a um, an attempt to make it more modern, but it didn't work out. It didn't feel like Doom. It was very dark. It was very um, it wasn't very fun, to be honest. Uh, I remember having I don't even think I finished playing that game. So I don't think it's something that I truly would um, play again. Really, I would rather play Doom 64. Um, and this game kind of the Doom Eternal kind of took inspiration for pretty much every game that came before it. Um, Even before, like it took some elements of some monsters from one, some weapons from another. Without compromising the lore, they kind of brought it on to Doom Eternal, which is really fun. So yeah, the look and feel of it is absolutely phenomenal. The detail on the monsters is awesome. Um, there's a couple of times where I was on a building and I was just looking over the world, the hell that's been created on Earth, and how everything is burning, and buildings toppling over, and crooked and half broken down and stuff. With the symbols on them, it was so well done, and I was really immersed in that world. Like playing that, I was like, oh my god, I'm part of this world. It's so fun. It was really fun, and I have to give them kudos to that. I really enjoyed the soundtrack to this game as well. It had some metal rock, which is what is expected, similar to what it was, but it was a little bit more. So the first one was like no music, and then you got into a fight scene. It was boom, 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 boom. You had the music, and then the music would stop. Here, the music is continuous to a point, with few exceptions, but it's very situational. So if there's a lot, when you start having a lot of enemies, it starts picking up, and then you have the metal, 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 and then when it stops, you still have the music in the background, but it's more subtle. Uh, a lot of demons singing. I think they got a lot of different people to sing, like from different rock groups and stuff like that, to sing various versions of demons and stuff like that, which was phenomenal. All that to say, the soundtrack is phenomenal. Um, and we'll get to it a little bit further, but also part of the collectibles was you're able to collect records as part of the secrets in the game, and you can have soundtracks from Doom, the original Doom, Doom 2, Quake, Quake Arena, Quake. What else did I collect? Wolfenstein 3D. I think there was a Commander Keen one. I'm not sure. But that like the soundtrack is really phenomenal. The only thing I would have liked maybe that the game could have done a little bit. You can only choose those albums while you're on your Fortress of Doom, which is basically your home base, which is a spaceship. Um, and I would have liked to make that customizable. And I think it's the one thing that I miss from the original Xbox. If you guys remember, the original Xbox, for certain games that supported it, you were able to play your own soundtracks. This was relevant, I think, for Project Gotham. There was quite a few others that you were able to play your own soundtrack. So if you had music, you ripped it, you played it, and it was part of your game. Um, Here it's slightly different, obviously, but I would have liked to be able to play the old theme. If I wanted to play Doom, the original Doom music while I'm playing, it would be super amazing. I would have really liked that, but alas, that wasn't part. At least I haven't figured out how to do it. If you can, so if you guys know how to do that, or if it's possible, let me know in the comments. I'd really like to know if that's possible. Oops. Um, Now for the gameplay itself. Um, there's more there's more story to this than just run and gun. Yes, you're still doing the levels seem more flushed out. So you have like I don't know, there's like 8, 9 different areas you have to do, but each part has like 4, 5, 6 different areas that you need to beat in order to finish the level, right? Within usually there's a boss at the end, which is similar to 2016, but it just feels I don't know, it feels different. It feels the flow seems to feel a little bit better. I found the flow in 2016, although the fight scenes were fun, is as much as sometimes the puzzles kind of interrupted the gameplay, and here it doesn't. So that's a little bit. So that's what I really liked about Doom Eternal more than Doom 2016 from that aspect. It was really really cool. Um, from a puzzle perspective, um, some puzzles weren't easy, and it's not because I'll be the first one to admit I could be a dumbass when I play video games. The simplest things sometimes I don't see. And then there's other things that are supposed to be super complicated and I figure it out like no time. It really depends. Here, there's a couple of places where I got stuck, and it's not necessarily because, like, there was a point at the beginning of the game. I think it's close to the beginning. It's the first 3 stages, I think. It's you're outside and it's winter, and you're supposed to move from one end to one. So you get to a point where there's a wall, and then it's inaccessible, but you should be able to get there eventually. There's no clear path where you're supposed to go. I got stuck for a good half an hour, and one of my viewers was actually saying, "Oh no, it's not what you think it is." And I'm like, "What?" I went on one side. I got all the secrets on one side. I was like, "Come on, there has to be something." You kind of have to take a leap of faith from one of the cliffs because you don't really see where you're supposed to go really easily unless you go on top of a rock and then you look forward. Um, and you can see a bit of a platform that gives you a hint that, oh, you're supposed to jump there. But other than that, you don't really see it. And I was like, oh, are you freaking kidding me? You kind of have to take a leap of faith and do your dash and your double jump to get there. Um, but come on, like seriously. Um, Obviously, after the first time you play, you'll know how everything works. It's just I found it a little bit. There's a couple of puzzles where I was like, okay, this is not my fault. I can be a dumbass, but this is not my fault. Um, so from that perspective, the puzzles, I honestly could have given. I could have given those up. Really, I really didn't care for the puzzle aspect of it. I understand it's part of the game. I like the fight scenes a lot better. So from that perspective, I'm I liked it. I like the fight scenes. The fighting areas are really really cool when you have to and the way that the areas where you fight the demons are the hordes of demons that come towards you. The way that it's structured in Doom Eternal, uh, you really have to have some strategy. Where that strategy wasn't necessarily there in Doom 2016, where you have um, where you have if you don't fight the proper way, I don't know if I'm expressing myself well, but if you don't You make a mistake, for example, you choose something wrong, it will make you pay, and it makes you pay really, really badly, and you die. Um, and but it never felt as if the game was unfair to me. I just always had to figure out, okay, I have to figure out how to beat this level. But the onus was on me. It wasn't. It was tough. Don't get me wrong. It was tough, but um, I found that it was me that was. And the first time you're playing it, obviously, you look, as you're playing it, it's always the toughest part is where you are, and then you're looking back, and that was super simple. Um, the first time you fight the Marauder, holy crap, that fight was so. First of all, it's the enemy I hate the most in the game. I find it's an enemy that's truly unfair. The first time you fight him, you're trying to figure out how to beat him. That's what makes it hard. It's not the fact that um, he's difficult to beat. You just have to figure out how to beat him. But on top of him having super high defenses, and you can only hit him when he blinks his eyes, he also has a tiger that runs after you, like a virtual tiger, a holographic tiger that comes to and runs after you. And you have to fight that as well. Now, the first time you fight him, you're pretty much alone. The only other, it's zombie, like really weak enemies, zombies. It's basically to give you more ammo, which is fine once you figure out how to beat him. But then the rest of the game, every time you fight him with other enemies around that are much, much tougher. And I find it's an enemy that's really unfair because you could easily die. Um, which comes to mind. Well, so from that perspective, the enemy itself is really bad. The rest of the enemies, I think they were fairly evened out. Um, from the cyber demon to everything. I think it was pretty well done. Um, it's just a matter of of finding the proper way of hitting them, which is really cool. The weapons in the game are really awesome. There's a few. There's the old classics where you have the double shotgun, the shotgun, you have the rocket launcher, but they added some functionality like the meat hook, which is basically if you were. It's almost the feel of if you would be Scorpion, but instead of the enemy coming towards you, you go towards the enemy and then you give them a blow. Um, I underutilized that a lot at the beginning of the game. I used that more towards the end. Well, first of all, at the end, you kind of have no choice. There's a boss that you actually have to use it. You have no choice. But at the beginning, I didn't really use it much because I never hit the button properly, and it wasn't my go-to. The go-to weapon I went with the majority of the time was the plasma rifle, because that's just what I liked. It was a rapid fire, and I felt like I had more control. Whereas the double shotgun it took longer to reload, so that took a little bit away from me. But however, the shotgun with the meat hook was really a useful, powerful weapon when timed properly and used properly. Um, and because the fights are really structured in a way that you have to kind of strategically see who you set you use one weapon over another one in that same battle. Um, the way that you get your ammo. So if you use a chainsaw, so the chainsaw is also part of your arsenal. If you cut an enemy in half, um, you will get some ammo back. If you do a glory kill, you get some health. So depending on the situation you're at, sometimes you're running out of ammo and you're just gonna okay, I'm gonna use the chainsaw, which only one time you can use the chainsaw at any one time, unless you pick up a gas container, a canister. You have three, and then you can kill any weapon, really, any enemy, but you can only use it once. Um, there's a couple of weapons where I found they were really overpowered, and they made the end of the game really, really simple. The Crucible is one. It's a shield of some. It's a shield. It's an energy shield. it's a sword that's energy based. And when you pick up some artifacts in the shape of a dagger, you refill the meter, and then you basically every enemy, with the exception of I think the cyber demon is one of them, and there's another one. You can pretty much cut every enemy in half instantly, regardless how big they are. Which can, but the thing is, you have limited uses, right? So when you run out of refills, you can't use it anymore, which that's the downfall. But it's still overpowering, and towards the end of the game, you kind of have to. It kind of saved my bacon, and it made it a lot easier than it had to be. Um, so from that perspective, the weapons are well. I think each weapon has its own use in different situations, and I think that's what it. 2016. If you had that one weapon, you kind of kept it throughout the whole thing. Even here, I said that I use the plasma most often, but sometimes the plasma rifle doesn't do enough damage for a certain enemy. You're forced to use another one, the rocket launcher, for example, or whatever. Um, um, so, you know, I lost my train of thought. Holy crap! Uh, yeah, so depending on which enemy you're fighting, you may have to change the weapon, which makes it a lot more strategic in the way that you use your weapons, more than just using one weapon and forgetting the rest the whole time. You have upgrades that you can do to every weapon that's expected. You can master a weapon as well. You can find master coins through or tokens throughout the game, or you can um, beat a certain challenge to unlock that master level of a certain gun or weapon. Um, all in all, the graphics, everything, the weapon, the gameplay, all of it comes together really, really, really well in a really tight experience that is not that long, but it just feels like it's long enough. Um, it's now some people have finished the game in 10, 12 hours. It took me 23 or 24 hours to finish mine on stream. Um, Most probably because I got stuck at a couple of puzzles, and I used to try and find as many secrets as I could. Oh, that's another thing. I really, really enjoyed the secrets. Um, the way they implemented cheats in this game is really awesome. So some of the collectibles that you have, and forgive me, that's my dog. Um, some of the collectibles you get are for cheats. So cheats that you normally would have put in a console command back in the day. And the way that you do that is you pick up some cheats. So the first time that you play, you pick them up, but you can't use them. But when you replay a level, once you're done the game, you can actually choose, I think, up to two cheats. And you have like God mode, you have like all the ammos, you have one that's berserk. You have a bunch of different ones. I didn't collect all of them, but the ones that I wanted, I did collect, which was really cool. The secrets also involve toys, so you can have toys collection, which I think everybody's going to be doing, and you also have records, music, soundtrack. So you can pick up, like I was mentioning before, you could pick up the Doom 2 soundtrack, the Doom 1, Quake, Wolfenstein 3D. What's really cool about this is on the Fortress of which is your home base, which is different from the other game. You actually have a home base. So at the end of every section, you pretty much go back to your Fortress of Doom, with the exception of the last three stages. I think you're going on Earth and you stay until the end of the game. Um, you have a computer in your office where the screenshot of it is a computer, like it looks like an old Tandy or 486, where you can play both Doom 1 and Doom 2. Now, Doom 2 is password protected. You have to figure out what the password is. I mean, if you don't want to figure it out, just look it up online. And the other one is based on, I think, the number of cheats you pick, I think. And at the end of the day, at the end of the game, when you pick up all the cheats, I think it's based on cheats. It'll unlock Doom One, so you can actually play Doom One and Doom Two, which is actually pretty fun. It's a good, and I think that was a thing in Doom 3 as well. I'm pretty sure if you entered a certain code or something, I would have to check that out. But I'm pretty sure Doom 1 and 2 is there. But in any case, you can get Doom 1 and Doom 2 on pretty much anything at this point. Even LGR played it on a Canon camera, so it is what it is. Um, Overall, it's a very enjoyable game. They managed to take what Doom 2016 did and they tweaked it to a point where they legitimately improved it. I don't know where they would go from here. The story, again, it's a little bit, although they improved the storytelling and there's a lot of things you can read, there's a lot of reading material. There's scripts you can pick up and read. I missed a bunch of them. But even then, it takes time to read them. And the story's a little bit convoluted, and I'll be honest. You're reading it and you're like, a lot of words. What the hell is happening? But at the end of the day, at the end though, it all comes together and you kind of understand what's happening. So all in all, it's a really good game. I strongly encourage you to play it. It is, if you're on the fence, I would definitely wait till you get a Game of the Year edition. It's gonna come out in 6 months anyways. I'm pretty sure. With all the, I don't even know what the DLCs are gonna be. There's a multiplayer aspect to it. I did not play it because honestly, I'm not a big multiplayer guy. Apparently, some people have said that it is fun, but it's more simplistic in its implementation. It does improve on the 2016 version of it, and apparently it's fun. You can play as the monsters as well. You can play as an archvile. You can play whatever, which is pretty cool. But for me, multiplayer, it does nothing for me. However, I did like it to the point where, so every time I do play the game, I do always play it on the simplest level, simplest setting or difficulty. But every time I play it after, I always go one notch higher and see where up to where I can go. The reason I was scared for this game is because when I was watching LGR's review of Doom, he had gone to a certain point and he couldn't beat the section. He had to lower the difficulty for that particular section, which I was like, oh boy, because he's a Doom guy, right? He really loves Doom and he's always loved Doom. So I was like, oh crap. Even don't get me wrong. Even at the easiest level, it's not the easiest thing. It makes you pay for mistakes that you make, and there's the idea of one ups in this game, which I kind of find kind of useless in a way. Um, Basically, what happens is usually if you die within a fight, you start the fight all over again. In general, the one life will allow you the life will allow you to, or the extra life will allow you to continue from the spot you died so you don't lose your progress, which is fine. But I mean, at this point, who cares? Either you start from the beginning or you start from where you are. I think there was one fight that it avoided me from starting over. The rest of the times I either died too many times, I just didn't know what was hitting me or whatever, and I died. Um, but yeah, so there's certain things where, like especially the Marauder, I does not like at all. Um, the puzzles were uh, they were okay, but I wasn't like super enthralled about them. The fights were phenomenal. The look and feel was phenomenal. I really I did enjoy the game, even though there were elements I did not like of it. If I had to give it a score, which I don't usually like to do anymore, I would probably give it an 8 or 8.5 on 10. It's a solid game. It's a solid shoot 'em up, pick up your gun and just shoot, similar to how the original Doom. It really, really captures the spirit of the original Doom with more, like with just better. It just makes it better. And I really, really enjoyed that. Um, so that's basically my rundown of Doom Eternal. If you guys have any comments and if you've played Doom Eternal and you wanted to know if Am I on the right track as you? Do I see it the same way as you? Am I completely wrong and this game is crap? Let me know in the comments, in the chat, and I'll be more than happy to discuss Doom Eternal with you guys. All right, the next on the list is a game that I've been looking for the longest time. Um, Streets of Rage. Now, I will, for the longest time, my favorite game was Streets of Rage 2. The soundtrack is phenomenal. The gameplay was amazing. It improved on the first one. The first and third installments, I wasn't crazy about them, to be honest with you. It just never connected with me. I did beat them all three at one point, but the one I keep going to over and over and over and over again is Streets of Rage 2. And I've been looking for this for a long time, and it's getting released on April 30th, 2020 on all major consoles and PCs, so Microsoft Windows, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox One. There's an actual trailer, so let's look at that right now. So there you have it. There is the trailer for Streets of Rage 4. It looks like you'll be able to play the original characters in their 16-bit glory, which looks off when you're starting to play. Hey, Psych, how's it going? When you start playing with graphics that look better for other enemies. However, I'm a sucker for these. I was a sucker for Final Fight. I was a sucker for Streets of Rage 1, 2, and 3. I still love 2 to this day. The soundtrack, I still listen to it today. I think it's on Google Music, and also on YouTube. You can download it. And the advantage of this, it's going to be on the Xbox One, Game Pass as of day one. So I don't actually have to purchase it. I'll probably purchase it once I buy it. And that's another thing I have to say about Xbox is I love the Game Pass system. It's so freaking awesome. I can try out games, and if I don't like them, screw it. If I like them, I'll buy it. It's just the way it works. It's so freaking good. I love that. And the fact that I can play Streets of Rage 4. So if it ends up being crap, like Contra was this year, I forget what it was called. I would so love to try it out first, and then like kind of a rental, right? You used to go rent it at the store before years ago, and then if you liked it years later, you bought it. Well, same thing here. I'm hoping that Streets of Rage is going to be good. I'm looking more for the single player aspect more than the multiplayer versus mode, but I'm willing to try it, especially these old games. I'm willing to try it. So we'll see how that is. There's probably going to be co-op as well. You'll probably be able to play co-op. Let me see if there is able to play co-op. So there's going to be a limited physical release, but only for PS4 and Nintendo, not for Xbox. Well, that sucks. I still like to buy the actual game itself. The game takes place 10 years after the events of Streets of Rage 3, featuring returning characters Axel Stone, Blaze Fielding, and Adam Hunter. alongside two new characters, Adam's daughter Cherry and a muscular human with cybernetically enhanced arms called Floyd Iradia. The game will also feature online multiplayer for 2 players and local multiplayer for up to 4 players, for the first time in the series, as well as a competitive battle mode. Unlockable features include characters from past games who are presented in 16-bit style and retro music tracks from Streets of Rage and Streets of Rage 2. That is phenomenal. Just for the fact that the soundtrack for Streets of Rage 2 is going to be on there, I'm just like, hee hee, I'm giddy. All right, so I'm really looking forward to it. I didn't have much more. I didn't play the game. I didn't play a demo or anything. I just wanted to talk about the fact that I'm really looking forward to this. It's getting released next week, and I can't wait. And it's something I'm probably going to be streaming on my Twitch channel, right here, and it's going to be fun. So yeah, Streets of Rage 4 coming to a game console near you. Check local listings for details. All right, so next on the list is we have discussions, and we will talk about certain things. So the first, I know my segues suck, but it doesn't matter. The first thing I want to talk about is video game remakes. It seems that in recent memory, everything, especially this year, it seems very evident that manufacturers want to do remakes. The Resident Evil is one of them. Crisis is coming out with as one as well. I think they're either doing a reimagining or a remake of the first game, which was a game that nobody was able to play in the first place back in the day. And it seems that people are wanting to remake. Same thing with Nintendo. Link to the Past. Is it a Link's Awakening? They redid that one in 3D, remastered it, and I find it's a dangerous thing. I think it feels like it's cheaping out, and we're at the cusp of being at the time where if you remake a game from an 8-bit era, I could understand it for now. But I find that like the movie industry, the gaming industry is going to get very lazy, and it's going to be a way to get quick bucks. Now it's not too bad. Like remaking Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3 makes sense because when they came out, the graphics weren't as polished. The hardware now can do a lot more. I can understand, and it's kind of a reimagining. Same thing with Final Fantasy VII, right? Final Fantasy VII, it's a reimagining of the original game, which is going to be a multi-part series. But again, you're redoing a game or with the same title instead of just creating a brand new game. Although Final Fantasy VII, they're kind of building their own. They're kind of redoing it because it's more of a third-person vantage point, and the storyline kind of is different from the original game. But they're doing multiple parts to it. And it's one of those games that I never got into really. I played the original on the NES, but I never really got into the sequels. And I didn't have a PlayStation for the longest time, and that's where they were released. And I just never paid attention to it. And apparently everybody goes gaga over Final Fantasy VII, and Eidos Montreal kind of got, hey, we can make money. And that's how they're doing it. But again, like remaking a game, like there's always games that you can always think about and you would love to have a remake. Like for me, if I would look at a PC game that I would want to be revamped and today's graphics and stage level design and so on, would be the original Deus Ex. The original Deus Ex and Invisible War. A reimagining of both those games, or even do the original one, but just do it in today's engine. That I would love to do it. But I acknowledge that it's not doing anything new, right? Some people would say don't touch the original Deus Ex, even though it has all these bugs and everything. It has a look and feel to it that shouldn't be touched, even though there's graphic enhancements that you can do, you can download as well. And I just hope that gaming companies don't get too lazy and they just don't redo stuff. Re-releases is another thing. It's something completely different. A re-release is very, very different. But a remaster or a reimagining or a redoing of the same game, eh, it's okay for now. But eventually, it's gonna get old really fast. And I don't know if people would necessarily pay full price for a game that was just fine, right? Like a Link to the Past, like a Link's Awakening. I keep saying a Link to the Past. It's not a Link to the Past. Link's Awakening. Um, the original is just fine. It was fine the way it was. Everybody remembers the original game, and it's fun how to play it. Now the remake, they did it well. I will give it that. But was it really needed? No, it wasn't. Just port the old game. It's gonna do the same thing, right? Um, so that's why, like, that's my take on it. I just hope that the gaming industry doesn't become lazy, complacent. I did an article a very long time ago about the similarities between the movie industry and the gaming industry, and what took the movie industry 100 years to get to. The gaming industry has done it in 30 years, essentially 35 years. It's become an entertainment juggernaut. It makes a lot of money now. Games have budgets that surpass some movies, which is insane to think about that. Um, and a lot of these gaming companies, because before, years ago, like people that used to develop for Atari games, a lot of the games were done for fun. Yes, the graphics weren't ahead of their time, but no, they weren't very good. But the games were built on just fun. ColecoVision, same thing. Then when Nintendo came along, because it was Nintendo, it was still fun, but it was like a good medium between fun and a business, right? Yeah, there were bad games, but a lot of the games on the NES were really good. Same thing for Sega Genesis, and then Super Nintendo came along, and then ever since the original Xbox kind of got released, even the PlayStation One to a point, but I think it really took off in the original Xbox. That's when you saw it really becoming an industry, and games really started getting big, massive budgets. Um, and then it's been going up ever since. And you know, you see this in the movie industry as well. They got lazy. A lot of it is re-releases. A lot of it is rehashing old TV shows, rehashing old movies. Redoing the A Team. Why? Why do you need to redo the A Team? The TV is the same thing. Why are you redoing MacGyver? It's not the same. It's not the actor's fault. It's not the same as the original. Magnum PI. Why did you have to redo it? They tried Knight Rider. It failed miserably. It wasn't a bad show though. The remake wasn't a bad show, but again, it failed miserably. Um, you know, it just seems that they never. If there's something that works, they just go for it and they just keep doing it till it stops making money. And in a way, I kind of don't blame them. But at the same time, if you do that for too long, you become lazy, you become complacent, you lose touch with what works and what doesn't. In my mind, and I hope that, um, and I think that the gaming industry is kind of going towards that now. Um, and they saw that Resident Evil 2 made a lot of money with the remake. Everybody played it. Why wouldn't they do it again? And now they're doing it again. They're doing it RE3. There's rumors of RE4. Um, Crisis is coming out again on a newer engine. Um, who else? Oh my God, there's so many of them. What was the other one? It's on the Xbox Game Pass. King's Quest. Why the hell did they redo King's Quest? It sucked. The one that I played sucked. But why the hell did they redo it? I just don't understand. So from that perspective, I'm really hoping that we're not falling into an age of laziness, and I'm hoping with Xbox buying so many studios that we're going to have original IPs. We're going to have games that are engaging from different genres, first person shooter, puzzle games. Um, there's rumors of Fable coming back, doing a Fable 4. Um, and I think I'm really interested with this generation of games and seeing where we're going and seeing how many new IPs. Because even now, new IPs are getting fewer and fewer. A lot of them are big franchises. Halo, Deus Ex, Spider Man is going to be one as well, for sure. Uncharted, Last of Us. Who else? A lot of it is just being rehashed. Deus Ex, they just released it on everything. They even have a mobile PC game. I even forget The Fall, I think it's called, which I never knew actually existed till it's part of the Deus Ex Human Revolution, and it was the mobile game, and they ported it over to the PC, but the mobile like look and feel and commands, which is kind of like, I never played it. We'll see how. Maybe I'll play it at one point. Um, so yeah, I'm that's my take on it. Let me know in the chat if you guys, or in the comments below, if you guys, where do you see the gaming industry going, and if you think it's a good thing that they're doing this. Maybe I'm off my rocker, and maybe I'm completely off on this. Let me know, and we'll have a discussion at one point. The last topic of the night is one that, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, it's one that we have at the beginning of every generation of console. You have. I'm glad. Thank you, Psych. I am very happy that you agree with me. um, it's a topic that we have on basically every console generation. You have the PC camp versus the console camp. And I'm going to talk from my perspective, and then I'm going to go into the arguments that people make about it. For the longest time, when I was a kid, um, I always thought strategy games, first person games, were more PC oriented. They deserve to be played on the PC and not a console. And consoles were more sports oriented games or platformers. So if hockey, soccer, whatever, it was more of a console thing. Um, and then with the years, and they were relatively the same. They had, PC obviously always had more power, but at the beginning of those years, during the NES era, the games were they were a little bit more advanced on PC, but it wasn't like, no, night and day. Then there was a period of time where I became more of a console player. And it's not because I didn't want to play PC games. It's just because I couldn't upgrade my PC every 6 months. I didn't have the money. So we had bought like a brand new PC. We had bought a brand new latest Sound Blaster 16 graphic sound card, latest graphic card. Everything was great. You were able to play the first few games that came out, and then boom, it's not compatible. You have to buy a better graphics card. You have to buy a better CPU. And then it was like, well, you know what? I'm going to get myself a console. I can just put in the cartridge or the CD, and it just plays. And that's where the original Xbox, that's why I bought the original Xbox, specifically for that. Did it have better graphics than the PC? Nope. It was, well, that's the thing, right? So Xbox was the first, and they always build this. They always build it as being, build the hype as being a PC for the gamer, right? They always kind of hinted at the fact that it's going to be a PC. It's a PC like structure. It's a PC this. It's a PC that. And to be honest, until PlayStation 2, even PlayStation 2, it was still, I mean, I think they were piping it, but I don't think it was a thing. It kind of got the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3, especially the fact that the Xbox 360 had cooling issues. Then you went into PC territory. You're starting to like, okay, now the architecture needs to be cooled because it's running really, really hot, or else it's going to overheat. Um, and now, like you're saying, nowadays the consoles are pretty much PCs, right? The especially PCs nowadays. And again, PCs are still much more powerful than consoles will ever be. You can easily change parts in a PC. You can upgrade very, very easily. Console, it's always very powerful at the beginning, but then as it wanes down, it starts getting less and less and less powerful. And this is going to be the same thing. I know they're touting the fact that the Xbox Series X is going to be the most powerful thing. I think what's going to happen, and I think they tried it. Yeah, it is. It is. It's not the mobile version, but it's like a dumbed down version. It's a shell version of it, but it's basically Windows 10. Um, I think what happened is they released the Xbox One X, which was technically an upgrade on the original box and the S. I think they just need to make everything cross-platform, and I think that's what the Xbox is doing. Because if you look at how it's being structured, at one point you won't have the differentiation between an Xbox One or an Xbox Series X and a PC. Both are gonna, both have or will have keyboard and mouse support. Both of them are going to be running 4K with possibility of 8K. Both of them are going to run higher refresh rate rates. Um, I mean, for streaming, it doesn't make a difference. It's not as if like I'm going to be streaming at 4K. I don't even have a 4K TV, so I can't exactly even play an Xbox One X game that's 4K capable. It doesn't really do anything for me. Um, and nowadays we're kind of like, okay, well, you really have the ones that are really PC oriented. In most cases, are super passionate that PC is like the thing, and then you have the ones that are console, and then their arguments are more of along the lines, which is what I kind of think. I'm buying a machine that can play games, and it will just work. Even the original Xbox, I have the original Xbox One. Games are working on there. Are they working as efficiently? No. Load times are super long. But it still plays. When I play the game, it just plays really well. I played the last game that I played on my original Xbox One was Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It still looked phenomenal. Did it look as good as maybe an Xbox One X? Probably not. But who cares? It's just it just works and it's fun. And to me, the gameplay is what makes it or breaks it for me. Graphics is fine, but I remember like going back to Crisis. I remember the game when it got released. Everybody said that it looked phenomenal, but I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, everyone was saying the gameplay was shit, or then the storyline was lackluster. Um, so you can have the best looking game, but if the gameplay is not there, nobody's gonna buy it. Nobody's gonna play it. And case in point, the Switch. The games are cannot. Most of the games can't play on the Switch because the Switch is underpowered. But the games that are released on the Switch, people like the gameplay. and it's really really fun. Well, yeah, that's the thing about Crisis. Um, the Switch can play dumbed down versions. Like even like Crisis, they're like it's gonna play on the Switch. Yeah, to what degree? Like even I have to admit, if you play it on, you'll notice a lot of the games that got ported over to the Switch. Notably, Wolfenstein 2 is what comes to mind, or even Doom 2016. If you play it in handheld mode, it's really not that bad. It looks pretty good. It's when you put it on big screen, like you put it on a bigger screen, that's when it starts being, oh, it starts chugging. You're seeing artifacting. You start seeing parts of the elements of the graphics that are not as flushed out, or not as they don't look as good. So from that perspective, it's fun that it's getting ported to the Switch. But I mean, I rather, now that I got a taste for it on the Xbox or PlayStation, for example, I rather play it on those platforms or even PC than play it on the Switch. Even though I have the portability of playing it on the Switch. Um, and I think even on the Switch, and I'm thinking of doing this, is playing Fallout 3 on the Switch. I think they were going to release it. I don't know if they have. The Switch does have some interesting technology, and to be honest, for what it is, it's freaking phenomenal. Look, I'm the first one to say I freaking love my Switch. I don't stream on my Switch very often, um, but the games are insanely fun. Um, like I play Mario Maker 2, especially now with the update. Oh my god, you can build worlds now. It's not just levels. Oh my god, I'm gonna be oh I played I streamed like 3 4 times that game, and I just get lost in playing those games. There you can play other people's levels, you can play your own levels, and then you get rated on your levels and so on. Um, it's really really fun. I haven't booted up my Switch in a while, and it probably has to do like 2 3 updates, but it's because my main streaming console is the Xbox, and I play mostly on there. But I mean, if I had to, I would just get my Switch up and running, and I would probably play it. And it's another one that a controller is very freaking similar in feel to the Xbox controller. I'm not saying where the buttons are. I'm just saying the feel for the controller. It's very similar to the Xbox. So at the end of the day, pretty much what the gaming industry is saying is that the Xbox kind of nailed the sweet spot of what a controller should be and how it should feel. Similar to how the NES had that original 2 button with the D-pad, and that kind of was the standard for like how long. The Genesis had the 3 button, 6 button, but the layout was the similar thing. D-pad with a start button in the middle and a select, and it's only when the PlayStation, no, even the PlayStation One, it didn't have the Dual Shocks. It had the D-pad and the buttons. Um, yeah, it's the first Xbox is the first one, the Duke. Oh my God, that is a horrible freaking. That is a huge controller. When I played Invisible War and I played NHL Hits, that's what I was using. Oh my lord, that was insane. And I have smaller hands, so like I have fat hands, but they're small. So like when I play with it, it's like playing with like a huge watermelon. It just feels like really really big. Um, so yeah, to go back to the PC versus console, for me, I get it. Um, I would love to be able to have a PC that can play the latest games, and you can play the way you want. You can play with a controller if you want. You can play with a keyboard and mouse, and it's probably better for a lot of the first-person shooters. You have the advantage. But there's something about a console that nowadays I just find the convenience of it really, really appealing to me. I buy a game, I put it in, I know the graphics card is not going to crap out on me. I know that it's just going to work. It's going to work for a while, for 6 7 years. I bought my Xbox, original Xbox One, Boxing Day 2014, I think. It got released in 2013, right? So yeah, it was the summer. It was the next year I bought it, and yeah, I bought it for $3.99. It was without the Connect, and it served me well. And then my cousin was moving, and he didn't want to have his 1S, so I took it from him and I started playing on it. See, basically, I wanted to see how the performance would be, and to be honest, the performance is better. But I mean, I'm sure I would notice a bigger difference with the Xbox One X and not the S. But I mean, it still plays really good. Like you guys have seen my streams. I played Rise, Son of Rome. I've played Wolfenstein. I've played any number of games. They still look good. It still streams well. The quality of the graphics are still good. It still, gets translated really well over Twitch. I have no reason to do anything. And same for people that play with PlayStation 4. I mean, I honestly am an Xbox guy because I'm in the ecosystem and I've always have been. I've been an Xbox One Live subscriber for 13 years now, I think. And now with the perks of Game Pass, and because now I think Game Pass comes with Xbox Live, so you can just, and if you get the not the console version, but if you get the whole Ultimate package, I think Game Pass Ultimate, whatever, you get everything together. And to be honest, with 4 free games a month, I get a Netflix of games that I can play and download. Why would I go anywhere else? I'm happy with the services I have. I always like the interface. I will admit that I don't like the last update they did to the interface. I find it looks like garbage and it navigates like garbage. But in general, I do like the UI a lot better than the PlayStation one. That's my preference. Again, I don't want to make any enemies. My take is let everyone play on whatever system they want, console or PC, and let's all play together. Yeah, I agree. There are limitations though, and I think that we're starting to see it with the Warzone cheaters. Activision is trying to ban people that are cheaters, and they're having a hard time. And I think that now the way they're going to fix it is if you're a deemed cheater. Yeah, it's a weakness of the platform. You're gonna have multiplayer. You're always gonna have cheaters. I mean, that's it. But it's how do you break it? Because you can just reopen a new account, right? Um, they blocked like 70,000 accounts, and it's still a problem. And it's unfair for those that play. And that's kind of the one. It's one of the reasons why I kind of stopped playing. The last time I played multiplayer, and I actively played a multiplayer game. And when I say a multiplayer game, I mean like a Halo or a Fortnite or whatever, that type of multiplayer. I stopped at Halo 2 because every time I would respawn, somebody was there to kill me. Anytime. It was insane. Every freaking time. It wasn't fun for me anymore. So I said, fuck it. That's why I'm not a Fortnite guy. That's why I'm not any multiplayer, Call of Duty, whatever. Battlefield. The last one I actually tried to play, was Battlefield 3 on the PlayStation 3 when I had one. And yeah, that's a way of doing it. Yeah. Um, but again, if the disadvantage that if you have cross-platform, for example, where you have an Xbox versus a PC player, especially in a first-person perspective, the PC player will always have the upper hand, regardless. There is no way you can control and aim with a controller like this and be as effective as a keyboard and mouse. It's impossible. It'll never happen. Now, if Xbox has keyboard and mouse support, now you're starting to talk. And then at that point, it becomes a lot more of a gaming PC. Um, that's very powerful. And let's be honest. Let's say it. Let's put out a price, and this is a really far out price. It will not be this. I guarantee you that it will not be this. But let's say it's $6.99 for an Xbox Series X. And I'm taking Xbox as an example because it just we're talking about Xboxes and PCs and stuff like that. The components that you're getting inside of the Xbox alone would cost so much more. If you buy the equivalent PC for the Xbox One and the way it is, you would pay $1,200, $1,300, $1,400. Very easy. Because you always have to think it's not just raw parts, right? There's market, there's no the retail price gets jacked up. So when you get to that point, it's going to be about $1,200, $1,300. Where at the worst case scenario, you can get a 4K capable gaming PC, quote unquote, for like $700. That's insane. And it's going to last you for years, assuming there's no technical issues like they had with the 360, which I think they learned their lesson. It's a kind of a deal. And yes, you can do what you want. You can't, I can download Steam and have it. But you know what? I'm pretty sure that at one point you're going to be able to do that. Especially the fact that we were talking about earlier that it's more of a Windows 10 dumbed down version of Windows 10. They're going to find a way of doing it. It's a closed environment. You can't control what you want. Yeah, but see, that's where PC kind of evolved a little bit. I remember in the 90s, it was like, I know they used to make the joke all the time where you bought a PC at like a store, you walked out of the door and it was obsolete. That was kind of, I know it's extending like the joke and the reality, but it was kind of true. You bought a top end PC in like 1994, 95, and you were probably able to play top notch games in most cases up to 6 months, maybe a year if you're really ahead of your time. That was insane. And PCs weren't as upgradable as now. Like the cases before were really awkward, and there a lot of things like if you bought a case, only certain cards would fit and so on. Now it's a lot more flexible, and the cases are a lot nicer and easier to navigate and upgrade, and um but I'm still, well, yeah, well, it's normal, right? Like, we've gotten to a point where we're going to be hitting 8K soon, 8K graphics. Your eye can't perceive more than I think it's 6K. I think I don't remember, but 8K is way too much. Anything after 8K, you won't notice a difference. Your eye will not notice a difference. Yes, you do notice a difference at 4K, and you do. So at one point, you can't just evolve. Like, how are you going to evolve a graphics card? You can't. At one point, it's just going to be keeping up with the size of the game and the amount of information it can process. But it's not going to make a difference visually. You're not going to see any difference. Um, CPUs, yes, will evolve. Um, Man, just to think, my original my original PC, my Tandy, had 64K of RAM, and it was boosted. I think it was to 94, which was awkward, but it was boosted to 94K, and that was a big thing, and it was super difficult to upgrade at that point. And now we're like at the time where 8 gigs of RAM, you're at like the lower end of gaming PCs. 16 and 32 now are starting to be the standard, which is actually pretty insane. The amount of information that gets processed. Um, and I remember at the time when I was playing, and I still feel similar to the 90s. I do really think that when you're playing a sports game, it's a console thing. Like, you sit down in a console and you play a sports game. First person shooters, although Halo did a lot for consoles, first person shooters, and I do agree, I do love I have played the Deus Exes. I have played the Witchers. I have played, a lot of single player games on the Xbox, and I love them. But I can also see, like, for me, Doom, even though I played Doom Eternal on my you know my Xbox, and I played Doom 2016 on my Xbox, I still, to me, Doom is a PC game to this day. It's a game that I should be playing on PC, and I feel guilty that I played on it. And it's just a mind frame that I have. It's not. There's nothing telling me that I can't play it on Xbox. But to me, Doom was always a PC game in my mind. Um, so to me, playing like there's a lot of games like point and clicks. I've played point and clicks like on PC on Xbox, and they're kind of horrible. You need to have a mouse because it sucks if you don't have a mouse. And the closest thing to a point and click you have is probably the Telltale series, where you have to kind of move a cursor around with your thumbstick, and you have to point it at like an interactive movie type of thing. Um, but I still find those games would play better when you're on a PC. They feel more like a PC game. Um, so Police Quest, King's Quest, Space Quest, anything Sierra really, Phantasmagoria. Um, what was the Mist? Um, I used to. I don't remember if I ever finished that game. I think I have it, so I might actually play it at one point on stream. Maybe on a retro stream, I'll play Mist. Apparently, they picked up the franchise to make a series out of it. I think it's Disney. I think. I heard that on Electric Playground with Vic Lucas. So that's interesting. But I might play it on stream at one point just to see how it is. But to me, the way I'm set up right now, I mean, my laptop is a production laptop. It's not. Yeah. Mist. And apparently, there's like 5, 6 games for Mist, which I didn't know. Like I know Mist, and then there was the one that came after the sequel, and then I stopped. I must have stopped looking. There's like 6 sequels for. Let me see. I don't know if Mist series. Story. You have Mist, Riven. So Riven is the one I remember. Mist 3 Exile, Uru Ages Beyond, Mist, Mist 4 Revelation, which I never knew existed, and apparently it's Ubisoft that created it. And then you have Mist 5 End of Ages. These anything after Riven, I don't remember. I remember playing Mist. I remember playing Riven. I found the stories really ridiculous, and the puzzles were fucked up. From what I remember, but I haven't played it in so long. I wouldn't remember how to do anything. My God, this got released on Jaguar CD. It got released on everything. Holy crap. It even got released on a Nintendo DS and 3DS. Holy man. Anyways, I think I have it from GOG, so I may actually stream it at one point. So yeah, they've yeah. So yeah, they picked it up for a movie. I don't know why, but anyways, these types of games are PC games for me to this day. And a lot of people would think Fortnite, for example, is a PC game because for the multiplayer aspect, anybody that's in esports, to me, Diablo, you can release it on any freaking platform that you want. To me, that's a PC game. It'll always will be. It will be a PC game forever. StarCraft is a PC game. Warcraft is a PC game. You can port it to anything you want, but there's certain games that are never for me gonna feel. Even if I play like Diablo 3 on an Xbox, feels off. I played it at one point at one of my buddy's house, and holding the controller and moving stuff around was so awkward. I'm so used to playing with a mouse and keyboard that I was like, yeah, no. This is a PC game. So from where I stand and from where I am, I rather play for the money I'm getting back, and for the tech part inside of me, the techie inside of me. Look, computer programmer by trade. I studied computer science. If I could have the end of the top of the line PC every freaking time, I would have. But I'm lazy. As I'm growing older, I'm getting less and less like energized by building PCs and stuff. I used to be a guy that used to build PCs, and I used to love it. I used to do it as a side gig, right? For people, I used to buy the parts and then mark it up like what at 10%, whatever, and that's how I used to make my money. Um, but I don't have the time. I don't have the energy anymore to build it. If something screws up, you have to spend the time to do it. You know what? I just want to plug, play, and have it run, and it works. That's it. That's all. Yeah, I've been thinking about building one. I, I, I do like it's. There's something to be said about doing the research, looking at the latest what no what game no what GPU, CPU, RAM, motherboard that you would want to. Yeah, you see, there's something about doing the research. I'm a guy that likes to do research, so it's a fun part. Unfortunately, I don't have the time that I had when I was 16, and it's easier for me. And I don't want to go to a store and buy a gaming PC or order a gaming because they're way overpriced. And I just like, am I gonna buy an Alienware really for like $4,000? To me, that's a little bit, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, like I would rather build it myself than buy it. But I don't know. That's why you know what? Nowadays, I have my work laptop for work. That's what I do. It's rare that I use my laptop really to stream. I have a Mac and I use the Mac. I dual boot into Windows because Streamlabs OBS was only available for Windows for the longest time. Apparently, they have it for Mac now, but it was just easier for me to just install Windows and use Windows because it has more features and stuff. But that's all I use it for, really. I don't really actively program anymore outside of work. I don't do side jobs anymore. I used to build websites before, but now there's no point with Wix and Squarespace and stuff like that. There's pre-built solutions that do a lot of the job for 95%. The other 5% that needs expertise, there's not enough work there for somebody to do freelance work. Or if there is freelance work, it's too much work with what I currently do, so it's not worth it. I was having a discussion with my brother who likes building more than pre-built. It's cheaper, especially the more expensive the high-end PC. Yes, it is. Um, it's similar to the idea, and I know it's going to sound really off topic, but it's the same idea as going to a restaurant and buying a meal versus making it at home. You can get better ingredients, fresher ingredients if you go to a store that has fresh produce, buy it and make it yourself, then and it'll be cheaper than if you go to a restaurant where you're probably getting subpar food because they're going to use the cheapest food they can use, but you're going to pay more because of the markup, right? It's the same thing with building a PC. The PC will cost you less if you build it yourself, but it's the time. Um, Unfortunately, I can. um, but yeah, it's something that I've wanted to like. I've been wanting to build my own PC for a long time. I just like I look at one of my recommendations. At one point, I think I did it, was Linus Tech Tips, and I keep watching his videos on benchmarking and stuff like that. It's one of the ones like there's a gazillion freaking channels that do it. I just find the entertainment value on his channel really, really well, really good. Um, and very often you don't need the super high end stuff. Um, like at one point, he built a PC with 28 cores. Like what the hell? You can't even run all cores at the same time. I think it's 28 cores, 56 threads. I think, which is insane. But having said that, um, um, for right now, where I am in my life, I can see both sides, and that's probably my main point. The ones that are super pro PC and they have arguments, they're not invalid arguments. They're just valid for them. It's not. It doesn't mean that it's something that's going to it's a hit against consoles. And the same thing with consoles. People that play consoles have their own points of view, and they're not wrong. It's just the situation that they're in. So I can see both sides. And for me personally, having a console, like I can play PC games, like older PC games, or the ones that don't have like I can't play Fortnite, but I can play like Kathy Rain and the police quests of this world, which is fine for me. But I rather buy myself a console. My original Xbox, I've had it since the beginning, since 24, so it's 6 years now. Um, well, exactly. And other than some retro streams where I've played some old games, for the majority, the story-driven games, I've never repeated a game once. There's so many games that you can play, and if a game takes like 40 to 60 hours to complete, there goes 3 weeks because I don't stream every day, right? I don't stream 7 hours a day. I don't know how other people do it, honestly. After 2 hours, I'm kind of like my butt hurts and I need to go do something else. I need to go for a walk. But some people stream for 6, 7, 8 hours. Like the other time, who was I watching? There was this streamer that I happened to go on because she was playing Fallout, I think, and I was like, I was interested. And she's like, "Oh my god, I'm starting to have a headache. I don't know what's wrong with me." And then I'm like, "Okay." So I'm like, "Oh, I hope that you feel better, this and that." And then, and she had like a lot of chatters and stuff like that. And then she's like, "Yeah, maybe it's because I've been streaming for 12 hours." Well, no shit, Sherlock. The fuck? You're not supposed to be streaming for 12 hours? God damn it. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's way too much. Like, that's overkill. The, the only advice that I would be able to say for streamers that are, no, um, I'm, I go against pretty much every advice that people say about streaming. Stream for a lot of these websites stream for longer than 4 hours. Um, Stream, a consistent game all the time. Um, 2, 3 hours. You know what? I've gone to 4 hours on the occasion, like on a Friday night stream where I just really get into a game. Like I think I've done it for Fallout 3 and a few others. It happens. You get in, but for the majority of it, I only stream about 2 hours. To me, what's important, it's similar to like a TV show on network TV. If people are accustomed for you to be on at a certain time and for you to stream for even if it's for an hour, people are going to show up eventually. It's just that it's harder to get people to watch your stream when you're irregular. So that one day you stream at 3 in the afternoon, the other day 7 at night, and it's 12 midnight. I do stream irregular. I like Rise Son of Rome. I think last Saturday I streamed like at midnight or something, 11 o'clock, which is rare for me. Usually I don't do that. Um, and but normally I stream 4 times a week. 7 p.m. is pretty much Eastern time is my slot, and the people that want to see me, they pass by the stream and they watch me. They watch me. Others, the ones that don't, I had to. There's a bunch. I went through all the people that I follow. There's a bunch of them that stopped streaming. They haven't streamed in like a year or two. I unfollowed them. Um, I mean, and the only thing Twitch has made a lot of fucking changes in the last year or so, and it's debatable if it's good or bad, and it's fine. I'm not privy. I really hate the new layout that they I like. Just leave the layout the way it was. It was fine. I don't like the new dashboard, but hey, whatever. The one thing I absolutely hate, it doesn't show you who auto hosts you anymore. And the reason why I used to like that is because even though somebody doesn't come to your stream very often or doesn't chat it up, but auto hosts you, it shows that they're interested in your channel in some shape, way, or form. I won't lie, this week while streaming, I felt like I had doldrums, so to speak. It happens. Um, but yeah, I used to like people to see who used to auto host me just because I used to, you build a rapport and you know who's interested in your channel. I have no clue who auto hosts me anymore. It doesn't show me. The only time that it alerts me or it lets me know is when somebody actively hosts me, which is fine. I get it. If you're a big channel, but you should have the option of leaving it on or off. They shouldn't have removed it altogether. I find that a bit of a shame. So there's a bunch of people that probably auto host me, but I don't know they do. And I know Avante at one point used to be an auto host, but I don't know if he does anymore. I know a couple of times he came in and he hosted me. Same thing with you, Psych. You hosted me a few times, but I don't know if you auto host me or not. It'd be nice to know if somebody auto hosts me, and it just hasn't happened. And I'm really, I don't know what it is with Twitch doing all these changes. But again, like I don't know, right? And auto hosts are not like they don't bring you any viewers, really. Like who's gonna go to my channel to see who am I hosting? No one. You're gonna go to the channel directly. Like it doesn't. But it's a way of interacting. CoinOp I know used to auto host me, probably still does, but Wasteland. There used to be one guy that didn't stream for like the longest time, Mr. Garf 1988. He used to auto host me, but the guy didn't stream for the longest time. Um, but I don't know if anybody's new who's auto hosting me. I don't know any of that, and it'd be nice to know. You know. Anyways, that's something between me and Twitch. Um, and I think I'm gonna stay on Twitch for a while. I follow somebody that actually moved over from Mixer, and she just moved over because she's like, I just wanted to change, not necessarily because the platform was bad, just because she wanted to change. And she had quite a few followers. I think she got like 300 followers in like a week or so, but a lot of them ported over from Mixer. I think I'm gonna be staying on Twitch for a while. There's no point in me on being on a restream, to be honest. First of all, I'm not supposed to be on restream, unless I would open up a Patreon and have people sub through my Patreon. And if I do, which I am thinking of doing, it would be $1 a month, so $12 a year to support my channel. Um, and then I would relinquish my affiliate, and then I'd be able to go on all different platforms, YouTube, YouTube, Facebook, even Facebook. Facebook's horrible. You know what's bad about Facebook? I streamed on Facebook a few times on my Facebook page. I just wanted to try it out and see how it works. So at least if you have copyrighted material on Twitch, like for music and stuff, it'll stream your stream, and then once your stream is done, it mutes your stream. I completely am fine with that. I have no issues with that. That is completely fine. YouTube as well. You'll have a copyright claim, but you don't mute. Sometimes it mutes, but sometimes it doesn't. Um, it asks you if you want to mute it or not, whatever. But it's fine. Facebook just stops your stream. You'll stream for like 15 minutes, and then boom, all of a sudden, stream done due to copyrighted material. Like, it's so backwards. I don't understand anybody that would stream on Facebook. I really don't. To me, it boggles my mind. It's amazing. Yeah, Oh, Restream 2 does the same thing. Because that's weird. Like, I mean, there's times where I would like to play music, even if it's copyrighted. I don't care. If you mute my thing after the stream, I don't care. Like, if it's not a playthrough or something, I really don't care. Oh yeah, yeah. It's so stupid. I hate Facebook, honestly. And even my Facebook page, I'm kind of thinking of we have one for a round table which has traction, but my corporate gamer Facebook page is there's no one. There's I think 90% of my followers are robots cuz a lot of them got shut down. So at one point I was at close to 1,300. I'm down to 1,132, I think. Like I've been slowly going down, which I'm assuming it's either people closing down their accounts or their bots, and Facebook closed them down. But I have no traction. I get traction on Instagram. I get traction on Twitter. I get traction on um, even LinkedIn. Like I post my reviews on LinkedIn, and I get traction there. But Facebook, I have zero traction. Out of 1,000 to roughly 1,100, um, yeah, it's fuck Facebook. Like they have this whole gaming platform, and they sent me an email going, "Oh, you have a gaming platform. You should stream for." No, I'm not gonna stream for you. Fuck you. Like I'm not gonna do that. I'm sorry. it's just it's not a platform. Number one, the platform is not made for that. Um, if I stream on my personal page, yeah, people will chat. But on my Facebook page, there's zero traction. Um, any post that I make, I have about a reach of like 20 to 25 people. And it's even less when I stream. Like when I actually post that I'm streaming on Twitch, I get like 5, 6 reach, which is nothing for 1,000 people. Um, it's a platform it's been going down and down and down. It's been going down and down and down, and I think people are getting fed up of Facebook in a way. Like it's a way to keep in touch with family and stuff, but that's about it. Um, you know, the only thing I really enjoy with Facebook that I do is since we've been in quarantine, every day or more or less every day, my buddies and I we get on a Facebook chat at 2:30 for coffee break, even if we're working, and we get together and we chat for like 15, 20 minutes, and then that's it, right? So it's used for we could use House Party, we can use a bunch of different apps, but we actually use Messenger for that. It's the only thing really that I use Facebook for. My personal page for Facebook is just jokes and pictures of food. That's pretty much it. I don't really go on very often. I haven't really before. I used to upload videos directly to Facebook from Twitch. Like I used to download the Twitch video and I used to upload it. But there's no point of doing that. It's cumbersome and it mutes everything and it's garbage. So, um, so that's it for the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We are done. Episode 32 of the Corporate Gamer Podcast. Thank you to everyone that came passed by to watch. Sykes, thank you for chatting it up. Uh, you kind of ruined what? No, it's good. Conversation is good. Um, I rather do this. It's fine. It's part of the fun. Um, and I rather do this than do the audio podcast. The audio podcast was weird. Like I would just talk, and it's like, At least once, if somebody like at the beginning, I was like alone pretty much. But then when you started chatting, it was good. There's interaction and stuff, so it keeps the conversation. And it's a podcast. I don't release the audio version of this. This is gonna go on my YouTube. And I know it's a little bit long. It's like 2 hours, but it's fun. I like doing this. I like to just say my stuff. Um, oh, cool. Yeah, Doom was just my review of Doom, essentially, which I enjoyed. Um, yeah, to thank you to everyone that passed by onto the stream. Hope that you have a wonderful weekend. I'm gonna try and stream tomorrow. I don't know what I'm gonna be streaming yet. Um, if I'm gonna continue with Neon Chrome, which pissed me off at the end of last night's stream, where I had to go back to the beginning of the level, which pissed me off. Um, oh my god, it's so. I was so close to beating the freaking boss too. Anyways, I don't know. I'm thinking of streaming Dragon Age or Dragon Age 2. Um, I'm debating if I'm going to do that. There's Prey. I was thinking of playing as well. For my retro stream on Sunday, what I'll probably be doing is I'll be streaming some Duke Nukem 3D, but I will be it will be the extra levels that were added to the 20th anniversary edition. So there's an extra level that was created specifically for that anniversary edition, and I want to stream that because everybody streams Duke Nukem. You know, all the episodes. Everybody knows the episodes inside out. But that extra episode, not I haven't seen it a lot, so I want to do that. And I haven't really played that episode. I think I played like the first hour or so, but I haven't really played anything else. So it'd be fun. It'll be me discovering that particular level with you guys. So it'll be cool to do that. Um, so that's the plan. So I don't know necessarily if you have a suggestion for a game, by the way, that you want me to play, let me know. I've taken suggestions before. I still have to play BioShock Infinite, so I have to get back to that at one point. I played Deus Ex as per your recommendation, and I did play Invisible War, which was not your recommendation, and I know why. That game sucked. I think it was just rushed and it wasn't done properly. I think if they would have taken their time, it would have been really, really good. So let me know on any platform if you guys want me to stream a certain game. I may actually stream some Mario Maker 2 as well, building levels and playing the levels and so on. It's really fun. It's really, really addictive. I can be doing that for hours. It's insane. So yeah, that's it. Next week, I'm gonna probably have another podcast. I don't know. There'll be a gaming podcast. It won't be a regular one. If you guys want to look at something a little bit different, my previous podcast, which was like I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, it was my record collection. So it was my vinyl collection. I went through the more popular ones that I like. Well, actually, not the more popular ones. It's the ones that I like the most. Plus my 45 singles. So that's it. That was if you guys want to do that. If you guys want to follow me, obviously you know me on Twitch. But if you want to follow me on Twitter to get my notifications, you can go to Corporate Gamer 9. I'm on Facebook at Corporate Gamer. I'm also on Instagram as Corporate Gamer. And my reviews can be found on aroundtable.ca, where we are on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as well. I also have a YouTube channel. So if you search for Corporate Gamer, you're going to find me, and pretty much all my Twitch streams I get uploaded there, my podcasts as well. Yeah, let me leave your comments, and if you like the content, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me here, and hope to see you again and have another conversation. All right, psych guys, have a good one, and see you next time. Have a good one, guys. Ciao.